Um, let's switch over to the screen and get started. So that's the wrong screen. No, that's the right screen. Okay. So first image here we have from Garrett. Looks like some sort of dam of some kind, just a small one, maybe on a river to manage the water flow. This image, other than the red, it's mostly green, so it's very monochromatic. And I feel like maybe maybe going monochrome on this again because there's not a lot of color here to play with. And composition wise, I feel, hmm, I like the gears and the chain, and the textures in here are okay. I'm gonna have to do some clarity or something to kind of bring those out more of the texture in this metal. And then I think the forest we can just kind of ignore and maybe even bring the brightness down a bit because it's not adding really anything to the scene. It gives a little context of where this is, but then um, it's really kind of a distraction otherwise. So let me go ahead and apply basic preset, and let me think about a crop for a second. It's a wave machine. Okay, thank you, Garrett. Um, maybe maybe right in here. A little more water. And then I want the corners to be, if I can move this up a little bit. Let me see. Not so much. Let's do that. The balance is still not great, but I just want to be able to see more detail in the gearing. Let me go right. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go right there. And now let's go with that. Yeah, Roger, don't worry. A lot of the photos down below are the ones that you guys edited of mine. I only have 3 or 4 images to edit today. So I'm going to try and bring out some of this texture. Like that. Wow, that's just too busy. Trying to see. All right, I'm going to go much tighter on the crop. Um, because when I'm trying to bring out the texture in here, it's just making everything else a bit too busy. So let me try to find some geometry that makes sense. Yeah, that's a little better. Okay. Okay. Now let me see what happens when I start giving it some texture. And I think this is where I'm going to play with the color mixer. It's kind of a cyan and green. What's it, blue? Yeah, the colors are so weak. I can't even make adjustments. Now I know the red was pretty strong. So I'm going to adjust that slightly. Um, then we'll just throw in some vignetting. Not that there's really anything to focus on. Okay. Let me just check the crop one more time. I try and capture. I don't think this really works either. Actually, I like that a little better. Okay, so let's go to square crop and cut in this way right there. So my rationale for this image is I like the texture in the wood too. I don't know if I can include some of that without, yeah. Mm. And then I'm gonna add an unsharp mask to just accentuate those details a little more. Okay, I'm done. So again, my rationale here is, and let's just do a side by side. So there's the original image on the left and my edit here on the right. Again, I'm just trying to isolate the scene down to just the most interesting parts. And I know we kind of lose the context of what this machine might be, but that's okay because this image is really for me about the textures in the metal. And most of the colors are so muted except for the reds. Um, I didn't see any reason to keep it in a color image, and just I wanted to go monochromatic in that case. So I think this works for me right there. Because now you can kind of really focus in on all of the individual gears and everything. And that's what makes this picture interesting to me, and the chains and the motors up here. Okay. And then this one was a second one sent by Garrett, but this was from last week. Um, since I don't have too many images, go ahead and edit two from Garrett, which is fine. Okay, Lisefis, I'll look for yours. Um, Sorry, I have to look at the chat way over there. Okay. So this is I'm gonna have a very similar approach to this still life image that Garrett sent last week, in that I need to brighten up the flowers and maybe warm it up a bit because it's a little bit cool in some of the parts, especially up in here, and and maybe accentuate the reds a little bit. But that might happen automatically when I start adjusting the white balance and warming it up a bit. So let's just go ahead and apply my standard default. And that helped a little bit. Composition wise, I think we're good. I don't need to crop or anything. And I might just warm this up a tiny bit like that. And let's crush the background because I know you didn't excuse me, you wanted that to be black. But this transition here from black to the tablecloth, I'm not sure if I should do something there because now it looks like a setup, right? Like a, you know, it looks like you set everything up. It doesn't look natural with the backdrop the way it is, particularly because the corners are rounded down here, so you know you prop something up in the background. So what I might do is, man, I hate to crop out. Let me just see what a crop looks like, because I want to kind of crop out the artificial elements of the image and just keep this, even though I like the candle because it kind of motivates the lighting for the scene. And the camera being down there, I don't know if that really adds anything. I would have probably not included the camera. All right, so I'm gonna go with this. I'm not crazy about cutting off the left here, but that's what I'm gonna do. And then let me just brighten up these individual flowers. I'll just push the shadows a bit and the highlights. Then add some texture via the clear view. Okay. And then just a tiny bit of brightness. Okay, that's good. And then I'm going to do the same thing on some of these leaves. This probably needs to be a bit smaller. And a little bit on this flower. Okay, then give it a little texture. Okay. Uh, okay, so this part down here, I want to see if I can, I think I'll just get rid of it. Let's see if I can do that with a clone tool. I'm just going to test a little spot here. So let me turn the feathering off. Okay, we're getting there. And then we do repair this time and see if I can. Hmm. I'm gonna have to just cut it off completely. So I'm gonna do that. Okay, that's that. What happened here? Right, I think that's all I need to do. Um, I wonder if I can make a little bit of a gradient like this. Yeah, that doesn't look good at all. So you just okay. Uh, it's kind of a quick and dirty job down here, but I think I'm done. So let's just do a quick before and after. So I like the overall composition of the original image, but the the backdrop and the camera just confuses me a little bit about this scene. One is the backdrop. Generally, when you use a black backdrop, you're trying to, isolate the subject, but then you have it you have it framed all the way down to the tablecloth, which is including these other elements that are not being separated from the subject. Uh, so that's what didn't work for me. The only thing that uh, this candle here is kind of affecting this over here. I need to do one more thing because this is now that the candle's out of the frame, this light coming up from the bottom is a little bit unnatural. So I'm going to try and minimize that. Yeah, that's a little better. Oops. Okay. So so yeah, that candle doesn't make sense. So the only thing I would do differently, or if I took more time, I would fix this area in here so it looks doesn't look so like chopped off, but I could make that look a lot more natural. Then brightening the flowers and then separating the subject with the black backdrop, which is kind of the intent of the black backdrop. And all is good until you get down here. And the camera, I don't understand the context of this camera. And that's the thing is, I didn't shoot this image or set it up, so it doesn't have the same meaning to me as it would to the person that took it, in this case, Garrett. Uh, So looking at it as a third person, right? Um, I should be able to look at the picture and not really have to question what's going on here, right? I shouldn't have to ask, why did you put the camera in the shot, so to speak? And so that's why I cropped it out. But that's my final edit there. Okay. Um, let's go to this one is from Paul. And so Gert says this was a test shot. Yes. Um, and looks like everything is almost there, but just think about the overall elements or things in this in the scene or in the frame. But if you're just testing lighting and things for different objects, then it makes sense that you just kind of put things together to see how lighting would be how the objects are going to be affected by the lighting that you're using. But as a final image, I would say, I would try and isolate things a little more and composite things that make more sense. Okay, so this one is from Paul. Paul sent me like a dozen images, and so I'm just using one of his each week until I get through them all. Uh, so if you're watching, Paul, that's why you're seeing your images like once every week instead of, all at once. But yeah, here we have a nice landscape. Hopefully I didn't edit this before. Yeah, I don't think so. So let's just apply basic preset and see where that gets us. So all I really saw was some minor optical corrections, but the exposure is pretty much spot on. But we have basically an empty sky, and then we have this beautiful shoreline. So clearly I'm going to just crop out that sky because it's not adding anything. And we'll try and keep the shoreline in there. And I like this little beach area too. Maybe even go wider, 16 by 7. And just have the beach area included. Okay, I'm going to see if there's any point. What? Is there somebody there with a, oh, okay, that's just a, what do you call those lifesaver things? I'm going to see if there's any point to bring the shadows up, but I don't think I need to really. Maybe just a touch. And then a push on the highlights. And then let me see if I can recover some of the sky. I don't think it's going to make any difference. Just give it a little more warmth, a little bit more magenta. And then what I want to do, let's let's just give it a little bit more clarity or clear view. And then I'm just going to spot, just do a little bit of light painting here on the waves by just pushing the highlights a bit, maybe a little bit in the midtones, and then warming them up slightly. Just to brighten the shores up a little bit. Okay, just a touch in here. How maybe I should use a brush. Let me turn the flow and opacity down. Okay. Is this is not doing anything. Hold on. Give it this. Little push here and a little warmth. Yeah, this needs to be. Why isn't that brightening up? Okay. Um, Let me go back to my brush. I'll add some in here. All right. Uh, these are too big. Okay. What if I put a dash there? No. Give these rocks a little more juice. Okay, I think that's all that needs to be done here. Um, just gonna adjust that one down a little bit there. Okay, basically it's just bringing out some of the clarity and highlighting the waves, right? So if we do a comparison before and after, I didn't have to do much, and then I just cropped out the parts that were kind of redundant, like all the negative space in the sky and a little bit of the foreground. Uh, and that's it. And then bringing the shadows up. So I think that looks pretty good. Okay. Let's see. One more here. This one is from Paul Crisp this time. The other one was Paul Sutton. So let me just apply my basic preset and okay, so yeah, it looks like you're behind the waterfall. Is anything interesting here on the bridge? It'd be neat if somebody was standing here with like a red shirt. A red shirt would complement all this green in the area, right? And going black and white would be way too busy for a scene like this. I'd have to really soften up things. So if I did black and white, I'm just thinking out loud. If I do black and white, and I give it sort of a glow, that would look good. Let me just double check what's in the shadows here. Just some rocks. So nothing really to recover up in here. And wow, this framing, just not crazy about the way the shadows are. This would be probably awesome at a different time of the day if the sun could be coming in or coming in from the side more instead of directly straight down. Because this is pretty harsh light. It looks like it's just midday because the shadows are all straight down, basically, as far as I can tell. Um, so I'm going to try a black and white, and then I'm going to just go right to softening it first. I wonder if I can do that with this and this. Okay, that's working. And anything here? Soft focus, maybe. All right. So I think that gets rid of the busyness in the scene. So now I just need to work with the lighting a little more. Maybe bring the no. Let's try this. No. Okay. I'm starting to see where I want to go. Let me try something on the waterfalls, and we'll tighten up the luminosity a bit. Maybe not. Loosen it. So I want the water to be kind of the highlight in the image, right in there. Make this one a little smaller. Add a little bit of clarity, brighten it up some more. Okay, now let's work on these clouds. Okay. Uh, Okay. All right, so that's the water and the clouds. Now the tree and the foliage and these rocks. Uh, the rocks. Wow, this image is harder than it looks. But the rocks are just little bit too prominent and just don't have any bite to them. So I want this to frame this watered area a little bit better. Okay. I'm gonna go back here and we're gonna darken this area maybe not that much. Something like this. I'm gonna just I'm gonna add a quick vignette to it. Let's see if I can darken this some more. Okay, too much vignette. All right, so trees, rocks, waves, clouds. Okay, now this bridge and the foliage. Uh, and try. I'm gonna try this. I don't think this is gonna work, but never know. Yeah, that's not working. So I'm gonna have to do something else with this bridge. Uh, Let me just try regular brush. I'm just trying to make the bridge stand out a bit more. It's not working for me. Hmm. Okay. Well, the bridge is a little more visible now. Might be a little bit too dark. Let's just pull that back a little bit. Okay. And let me just uh let me just look at it just for a minute here. The trees, I'm going to see if I can add some more texture here, and then I'll be done. So I add some light on this side. And then up here. Okay, and then we're going to add a little bit of negative tree or some shadows kind of on the opposite sides of this. Just a very subtle push. That one's too much. Hold on. This one's a lot of work. Right in there. No, that's too much. Okay, I think I'm done. I didn't have to really crop any. Maybe take a little bit off there. Let me see if a slight push. Now, is this giving off? All right, I think I'm done. All right, so let's just do a before and after. Yeah, so again, I just went black and white. I know I've been doing a lot of black and white lately, but the images I'm getting are just, they're relatively monochromatic. It's not like a carnival where there's lots of colors that I can work with. In this image, we basically just have this green, and then everything else is there's a tiny bit of blue, but then everything else is pretty much just the waves, the waterfall and stuff. And when you go to black and white, it tends because there's so much contrast in this scene, it would have looked, it would have been painful to look at, I think, if there was, because foliage, the texture in foliage is not pleasant, generally speaking, at least not to my eyes. I like to soften foliage up as much as I can versus, say, like wood and metal and other things. I like to see the texture, siding of a building, but foliage, I like to try to soften it up or minimize as much as I can. And unfortunately, I had to soften the entire image. I try to avoid soft focus when I can, but I think this is why you see this a lot in woodland type photography, where people soften things up, and it might be kind of an amateur move to do that. It's not ideal, but that's the level I'm at right now. So I don't know how to deal with this foliage other than to make it soft using soft focus. Um, but okay. Um, I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't know. I think it came out all right. Okay. Let me check. Let me check. 'Cause I think Lysippus and another person said they brought some files in. So let me see if I can dig those out. Okay, yeah, I see. Here from Ivan, and then one from Roger. Okay, so that's the only two I see that are new. All right, so let's go back. Hey, Druid, how are you? Good to see you. Let's go back to here, and the images I just downloaded should be, uh, there it is. There's one. So we'll do that. All right, that looks really good. So this one is a good candidate to do the noise reduction and everything because we're probably at 6,000 or something, right? 4,000. Okay. And this is the OM1 4150 28. All right, very good. So let's just apply basic preset and wildlife. Square crop usually works well for me. I like the bokeh in the background, but what do we have? We have a little bit of snow on the ground too. So I'm going to keep that in the frame. Is that snow or is that water? That looks like water. All right, so I don't really need to keep that, but it is kind of interesting. I think I'll keep it in the frame because I don't know what this duck is doing in the water and grass, but he's really enjoying himself, whatever he's doing. So I'm just going to keep all that in there. All right, so let's brighten the shadows up a little bit and the midtones. I think what I'll do, instead, all right, I'm going to try and cut this bird out using this tool here. Might have made the brush a bit too large, but let's see where we're at. Okay. So I'm going to fix it a little bit like this. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Touch there. And then let's get rid of some here. And a little bit there. Add this back in. All right. So let me add about one stop of brightness to the bird. And then I'm going to bring the exposure down about one stop. Okay, that's that. Just give them a little bit more warmth. Tiny bit of clear view. Okay, looking good. Add a little sharpness. And then let's fix the eye. Make that nice and glossy. Okay. Right in there. And move this down a bit. And it's a little bit more color. Something in here. Okay, too much color. Let's try vibrance. Just a tad. Then we'll add just a touch of light in the feathers, touch of warmth. And a touch in here and here and here. Okay. Maybe a little more on the head. Almost there. And then we'll add some vignetting. And just a tad more brightness overall. Okay. All right. I think I'm done. Almost. Something doesn't quite look right to me. Let me try something on the greens here. And tighten up the chroma. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. I need a new control point just for the greens. Okay. And then just a little bit negative on this side on the greens. All right. I'm going to end it there. So let me export this one because this has got to have all of the Let me just look real quick. Okay. Needs a little bit of warmth overall. Okay, so let me export this. Doesn't look like the DxO module downloaded, so I don't know if the optical corrections are being applied. They're not. So hold on. Let me just download the optical module real quick. I don't know how I missed that. Because the optical module helps with the sharpness so that the denoising can work better. All right, that's better. Yeah, now let me export this. Okay, so let's do a comparison. And I'm going to reset this one. All right, so my edit's here on the left side, and here's the original on the right side. Uh, and just to summarize, I just brightened up the bird a little bit, the duck, so it stands out a little better from the background, and enhanced the colors and whatnot, and then also did the denoising. So I'm just curious how well it did on the denoising. Yeah, that looks really good. So look at, I know it's almost impossible to tell in a stream, but when you look at the noise over here compared to over here, it's a huge difference um, when I'm looking at this on my own screen. So anyhow, I think that looks pretty good overall. I would tweak the lighting a little bit more uh, if I wanted to take some more time with this, but for the most part, I'm about 90% there on that image. Okay, and I think there was one more. Is it this one? Yeah, so this one looks like it's been processed a little bit already. Is it a JPEG? So yeah, this is a JPEG. It looks like it's had some processing already, either in camera or in post. So let me download an optical correction. Not that a JPEG really needs it. Yeah, let's cancel that. Uh, I kind of like where it is now. I don't know if I would change anything. Maybe just give a little more bite in the center and a little more white vignette along the edges, especially right down here on this wood. This wood is a little bit distracting, so I'm going to repair that if I can. Let me see. Oh, the lighting is off. Let me try repair. Okay, that's better. So we have to do this a little bit at a time. Maybe a little bit smaller size and less feathering. All right, good enough. So that's that. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of clarity in the center. Sorry if you guys can hear Ellie yapping away. I think I have a delivery coming. Yeah, definitely a delivery. All right, that's good. I think that's all that needs. Maybe a slight push. And then there's a little bit of our eye in there, or his eye. Let's see if we can bring that out a little bit. And just give it a little more color. Okay, now let's push the white vignette just a tiny bit. Alright. I think that's all this image needs, really. Um, let's just do a quick before and after. It's very, very subtle. It may not even come through on the stream, but hold on. No, I got to take care of this. Is anybody still here? Sorry about that. Uh, okay, so looking at this cat image, it's hard to tell which is the before and after even at this point. Uh, but yeah, this is the after over here on the right side because I can see where I fixed the wood. But very, very subtle changes. Like I said, this looks like it's already been kind of processed already, so wasn't much to add to it. All right. Put the soup. I know. Hey, Lauren, how are you? Play-Doh. Everybody kind of knows what my mom does. She brings me soup or food or something. She this time she brought me hot tea, which not the tea itself, just the tea bags to make hot tea. Ah, um, and then I had to fix her phone as always. But all right, so let's go into the images that you guys did. So I someone mentioned that the stream ended last time before they were able to see what your edits were. So I'll just go through those quickly. But let me find this week's image. This is the image I gave you guys to edit, right? It's just some plane sitting there uh in the airfield. I guess the owner abandoned it. I don't know, but it's been sitting there, I guess, forever because it's just deteriorating. So let's take a look at what you guys have done. This one here from Palumbo, P. Palumbo. Okay, nice gritty look. I like it. The kind of just adds the kind of I don't know, the feel of what this photo is, overemphasizing the texture. And I like the crop, nice square crop. Yeah, that looks great. And then this one here from Paul Crisp. Wow, another interesting. This is an interesting mix. You got sort of these cool tones on the plane, but then you have the sunrise in the background, which would normally be uh, make the whole scene warm. But I like this. This is a very interesting mix. Very, I guess, cinematic because you got your sort of your teal and oranges going on. But this is an interesting blend, isn't it? Let me see if I can maximize this. Um, yeah, I like this. And then this one from Paul Crisp again. This is basically the same processing, just a different crop. And I like this crop too. I like this because we really don't need to see the whole wing on the left side because we know it's there. Now, if the wing was broken or had some damage to it, it would make sense to keep it in the frame. But for all intents and purposes, you don't need to include information that you can kind of assume is there. Um, so this is a great crop on an image. I would have never thought of this. And the processing is interesting too. Uh, oops, I'm sorry. This is from Garrett. My mistake. Garrett, this is interesting. Garrett and Paul, wait, Paul, no, this is Paul also. I'm sorry. I don't know why I keep saying Garrett. Okay. And then this one is from Garrett. He added snow to the scene. Interesting. And it's so thick, it almost looks like it's on the trees too. That's an interesting edit. A little bit of a hard line here, transitioning in the sky, but other than that, it's pretty good. Um, and then let's see. Okay, that's the only edits that I got in for the plane. All really interesting edits. I think this is my favorite one because it's just something I would have never thought of. Uh, okay, so and then last week I sent let's see, this is the original. This is an image I took in Shenandoah, one of the trails I was going down, and this was just some road. So anyway, this is what I wanted you guys to try to edit because I didn't do a very good job myself on it. And okay, so we have very, very warm tone to it here, almost the sepia. I might have just gone totally sepia instead of this is a full color image. I would have gone full on sepia, I think, if I was going to go this direction. But interesting way to go. And then this one here, um, that's the original. All right, this one here, okay. This one here is from Garrett. And yeah, so this Garrett went full on monochrome, which I can appreciate. I think I did a color version, but monochrome makes sense to me on this one again. But I would have probably, like I did on the waterfall shot, softened the image quite a bit. I'm just thinking out loud. And then let's see, this one here from Lasse. This is just a clean edit, bringing the exposure a little bit more in line with the natural lighting, I guess. Um, yeah, good clean edit there. And then this one from Surge. Now, Surge typically adds a little bit of softening to his images, and I can see that in here. And this is very similar to probably what I would have done if I would have kept it in color. Um, and then, yeah, just a little bit of saturation onto the reds, but that looks good. And then there was one here that was really crazy. This one, because when I first saw it, I didn't even recognize this was my image, but it looks like there was some either AI done or some. This is most likely AI, because when I punched in, these cars just look so weird that I can't imagine that those ever existed, right? So that's kind of interesting. But it's almost like you're standing on a porch looking out, and also added a reflection of the water here. So this is a pretty elaborate AI treatment to it. But it's interesting. It's very different. It makes sense that this road would be used. I wonder if they had gravel roads like back in the day when these things existed. Um, but this green is interesting. How this green is on this tree. This is the only oddball thing in this whole image is this green here in the tree. All right, and then let's see. Here's an edit by Paul, and Paul, rather than soften the image and the foliage like I would have done, he just cut everything out and just went with the trail here and the harsh shadows. That's cool. Um, yeah, okay. Lots of texture. And then one more from Paul, I guess a color version, and very similar, I think, to what Lassay did, I think, in you're just balancing the exposure and emphasizing sort of the reds in the scene to kind of give it a little bit warmer look to it. So, um, yeah, just sort of a natural, more natural look to the image. But okay, did someone say sepia? I know. Remember, I used to do sepias all the time, right? But okay, um, very good. That's it for today, and it still ended up being like an hour and a half, 2 hour stream somehow with just a few images. But I spent a lot of time on that waterfall one, right? Um, but I'm going to try and do these every week again. So if you guys are watching this on replay, just look forward to one day next week. It's might be I try to do Tuesday or Friday. That's why it threw me off when today was Wednesday. I think maybe because I posted too soon or too late or something. And anyhow, Wednesday it is. I should have took advantage of yesterday because it's so nice out and gone out. But I thought the editing stream was yesterday, so I didn't go out. And then when I get online, I'm like, oh, I planned it for tomorrow. So my mistake. But everyone, thanks so much for joining me. I hope you like those edits. If you want to try Photolab for yourself, I have my affiliate links down below. You can download a free copy and start to use Photolab like I do. It is my primary editor. And if you want to support the streams, of course, I have my donation links down below. They're greatly appreciated. They help me to continue doing these for you guys. And I like doing them as well. It's good practice for me, and it's always good to see how everyone else is editing the same image, right? It kind of gives me some ideas on how I can do things because everybody sees things differently. And like I said before, um, when I'm editing your images, I wasn't there. I didn't take the image, so it's hard for me to I have to work a little harder to try to figure out what it was about the scene that was kind of interesting to you or what's interesting to me in the scene. It might be completely different. And the same thing goes when I put my image out there for you guys to edit. Uh, it's hard for you to appreciate. I'd already put in about 5 mile hike before I took this picture. So I was really tired when I took it, and I may not have composed it, you know, other, how I would have if I wasn't so tired. But that's the joy of photography, right? Just go out and have some fun and capture some images. But again, thanks everyone for being here. I will see you guys again. Probably be back live Sunday for a normal like photo chat, and then next week for another photo editing stream. So until then, have a good one.